Built in 1929, that is Chicago's first air rights building. Now for a style, you might guess that that's the Art Deco style. You wouldn't be too far off. It's actually an offshoot of Art Deco called Art Moderne. If you put diagonal beams together in a cross-bracing system instead of using horizontal and vertical beams. On the right, again, this is called Gateway 4, built in 1983. Now, this is a postmodern building that pays tribute to buildings around it, not by incorporating their architecture into its own. As you saw in the first building on the tour with those upside-down L facade, is actually meant to echo the curve of the river at that point. Now, this place is a bit of a tangent. Did anyone here watch the movie Batman the Dark Knight? Did y'all really not see it, or y'all just being this building? Batman the Dark Knight? Okay, there you go. That building I was just talking about is the first one that you see in the movie where they break the window on this side and then they zip line down to right next door to rob the bank. Which means that this building right next door was also in Batman the Dark Knight because it is an Art Deco style suggestion. I like to pepper my tours with suggestions of things that I like to do. So you can just imagine what that glorious ribbon cutting day must have looked like in 1996. Everyone's awaiting the new opening of that brand new post office. We're all having parades and dressing up like letters and stamps. And that first truck proudly makes its way to that new building and it literally gets caught in the doorway. A little embarrassing. The whole thing had to be renovated. It works like a charm now, but that is architectural boo-boo number 1. We'll get to number 2 in a little bit. Over on the left, doesn't this kind of remind you of those corncob towers? This one is called River City from almost 20 years later, 1986. River City is another one of Bertrand Goldberg's curvilinear creations. 1871, after the Great Fire of 1871. I'll tell you guys about it in just a moment. So for those of you who don't know, supposedly the entire Great Chicago Fire of 1871. Isn't that just mind-boggling to think of the kind of planning that involves? On the right is an Art Deco building from 1929 that we've labeled for you. You're welcome. It's called the Civic Opera Pavilion. Yay!
Building.
Building. Quite a V. Well, it's because the old Roman alphabet did not have a U. They used V's. They didn't even have a G. They used I's. And so sometimes if we want to seem a little bit more important, we use V's and I's as well. That's it. So that's an Art Deco. On the right, that beautiful greenish curved building reflecting the clouds is one of my absolute favorites. Also one of Chicago's favorites, known by its address at 333 West Wacker Drive. Before I tell you more about it though, look at the bottom right and left-hand corners of that building. You see those big circular air ducts? Keep that detail in mind. Now that is a very postmodern building, shaped by its location in Paris on the Prairie. But perhaps more importantly, everyone, it is now my honor and my privilege to introduce you all to my absolute favorite building on the river. Not the one on the right that's not done, the one just after that. Coming up on the right, that beautiful reflective postmodern twist on the Greek column. This is the United Building, built in 1992, designed by James DeStefano and Associates. They had as an artistic consultant a man from Spain named Ricardo Bofill. Now I've been telling people for 4 years, you gotta come back at night, you gotta come back at night, you gotta come back and look at that building at night. It is so pretty at night, but I recently found out why it is so pretty. You see, the same guy who designed the lighting for the Louvre in Paris and for the pyramids themselves in Egypt, it houses one of the world's largest advertising agencies. And you notice how it's like a series of columns within one column, right down to that main doorway flanked by a series of columns? Sometimes what postmodernism likes to do is take one architectural element and give us a tribute just to that element. So in that case, you have a tribute to the column. If you're wondering what that horn was for, it was probably to tell all these kayakers along the right side of the boat to get out of the way, because we would definitely win. Diagonally to us on the right, there's a green building with gold up on top. Isn't that gorgeous?
Wow.
Kind of looks like a huge champagne bottle, doesn't it? which is pretty funny considering that it was built during Prohibition in 1929. So you know someone was sticking it to somebody with that design. There's no coincidence that a building ends up looking like a champagne bottle. That's called the Carbide and Carbon Building. It's an architect up on top. It's a beautiful Beaux-Arts building from 1923 called the London Guarantee and Accident Building. Now, I think it looks very pretty from right there, but I'd recommend also, once we go under the bridge, turn back and take a picture of it. I think it makes for a nice angle for a picture. You're going to have Chicago's flag waving very proudly in front of it. Makes for a nice memento type picture. Like I said. Incidentally, if you have not seen Chicago's flag, or you just didn't realize you were looking at it, because it is all around us, we have an example of it coming up on the left. It'll be the first flag after the building on the left, the one closest to the building. Hopefully I'll label it for you. You're going to have to trust me. Okay, Chicago's flag has 3 white stripes. Now, not only do we live right next to the river, we call our buildings river views. So things have definitely changed. Plus, you notice these buildings along here all have a green color in their windows? These are postmodern buildings. So that green is probably referring to something in this area. Anybody want a Ferris wheel on Navy Pier? And imagine this. The world's first Ferris wheel was right here in Chicago, the star of our World's Fair of 1893. Actually meant to rival the star of the World's Fair 4 years before that in Paris. What do you think the star of the World's Fair in Paris was? The Eiffel Tower. You got it. So the world's first Ferris wheel was meant to rival the Eiffel Tower itself. Oh, that's good.
A little boat. A little bitty boat. What'd she say?
He says, I hate it right there.
Well, let's go. That is really cool. Look at this. Really cool. Oh, it shoots water into it. There.
Oh!
Isn't that cool? That's amazing. Wow. That is so cool. That is amazing. No, it's
line, isn't it? The water follows it?
no, that's water.
Is it? And it is.
Huh. Wow, one after another. Yeah. Cool. I love carousels.
Yeah, I would buy it.